This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fan. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm going to hear me out. Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Ready for another great episode here at One Nation Radio. Had a great weekend. Definitely from Friday on, watched Creed 3. Not going to spoil it for anybody that may have not seen it already. I know JML is still waiting to go see it with his brother and all that. I hope you enjoy it. I thought it was a great piece of cinema, worthy of its own like standing within the series. Like if it wasn't even part of the series, I think it's like it works on its own. It's a definite like thing if you're into the Rocky movies, and you know I'm really deep into them. There was not a chance I wasn't like seeing this immediately, but go out of your way to see this. Great performances from Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors, and it was it's a lot about LA, and it was just a great thing. And then we got some great wrestling. So Sir Sam was good. He said, yeah, we were just getting going. But
yeah, we just started. Yeah. I'm having trouble issues with recording or whatever else. So like I have to, once we're done with this like podcast, like doing it in the post show, whatever else, like Rich has to upload it so that I can like upload it myself. Or as I upload, but like rip the audio off of it and then put it into a DAW and then like edit it from there. Like it's a mess over on this end. So like, yeah, that's why we're just getting started, because I couldn't figure out how to make it work. Because like the computer said, hey, like 2 years, it's been working perfectly fine, or 3 years, it's been working perfectly fine. Like that whole thing, we're done. Like that piece that whatever you had making it work, we're not doing it anymore. So like I have to go back to the base and figure out another way to make this thing work. But until then, we're doing this. So that's why we started late, as opposed to me normally being late just in general. But yeah. But yeah, man, I'm glad you enjoyed Creed, and I will get to Creed 2 and then 3 eventually. It will happen. It'll happen for the summer. I'll say that. I will watch Creed 3 before the end of the summer.
Because bro, there's like so many things I was watching. I was watching with Josh, and we both brought the women in our lives, and there was just so many things where it was like, you sympathize with Dame Anderson a lot, and there are things like are undeniable. I think he did that are undeniable villainous things, but there's also shit with Michael B. Jordan. It's a lot of rectifying people in your past, moving on from people. Like there's a lot of that going on, and it's a lot to settle. So I'm not gonna go any further, but it was excellent. Let's just say, and the fighting is better than ever.
I will say that I did enjoy seeing some of the trailers, and like they're both setting up to fight each other, and they're both yelling "run it," and I'm just howling because like that's the stuff we've been saying. This is stuff we've been saying since we were kids. Run it, just so fucking funny. But yeah, I'll get to it. So AEW Revolution 2023.
Boy,
this was a great show. I would probably have this as my front runner for best show of the year so far, in front of the Triangle Derby from Saturday, in front of Wrestle Kingdom. I thought that for a match like an hour-long main event, that they were going to push, that you saw, like, you know, that you got interested at like an hour and 25 minutes before, so you knew they were going to go into overtime. I thought that, like, they had a lot, a very uphill battle and a huge challenge. And through the first 20 minutes, I was very doubtful. And then they flipped it around, and it was sensational the last 20 minutes of regulation plus overtime. I thought that was a great match, a classic match. I thought that, you know, Hangman and Moxley, they had a different match, also a bloodbath, but a different match, and in its own genre is a great match. And I really enjoyed that, like, you also have like this freaking goofy ass buried alive casket match deal that was also great in its own right, and was unintentionally funny while also like being quality wrestling and told a great story. And I thought that, like, there's another example of AEW having where you can look at it and be like, I'm not sure. Like, I see there's too many matches. I wish there was a third I could really bank on, but the story might be missing, or there's a bad injury here or some bad luck here with things that are out of the booker's control. And they were still able to pull it off because you look at the people that aren't on the show and you're like, if they aren't on the show, these people have the ball. Otherwise, they'll never be on the show again. So, yeah. I thought it was another great show. Rich, what are your thoughts?
Probably say, like, overall, there's a lot of different narratives I think you can run with as far as, you know, if you were to say, what was your takeaway from the show? You can say it was a night of, like, the future. Like, it was a night of the homegrowns. It was a night of, like, the younger guys, the next generation, like, stepping forward. Like, you know, MJF going over Danielson. You know, Jungle Boy over Christian, Ricky Starks going over Jericho, Hangman over Moxley. And, like, there's just like a pattern that really got, like, established. I think the Guns being, like, you know, a homegrown act that, like, and, you know, getting a win there. And besides that, you could just run it from the perspective of, like, yo, this was just one of the greatest wrestling shows that you'll ever see. I echo your statements on your thoughts on the main event. Like, I thought they started, like, pretty slow, but then they're just going insane the last minute of the match, and they really got me with one of the near falls in overtime. Got me and Jeremy, and we're not easy guys to get. Like, as far as, like, if we think something's happening, we're pretty much sticking with it. And then
was it after you rip out the ring?
Nah, it was the Busaiku knee.
Okay.
Like, and it was like, oh, and then he did the big oversell flip of it. But this for me was like the death match. Like, I was blown away by this. Like, the presentation, the knowing where these guys are in their careers, knowing that how long they've been trying to do this feud, and then just the entrances and the brutality. And it was just like, yeah, Jon Moxley bleeds every week. So fucking what? That shit was not any less effective here at all. Like, because of all that shit, like, he can bleed as much as he wants. Trios match, incredible. Like,
Yep.
Like, there's just, like, you know, this was a different format because of an Iron Man match. So, and even the women, like, match, like, I thought it was, like, solid, like, and they did a little angle after and kind of pushed something forward there. This was just up and down. I think the show flew by, personally, and it was like, yo, these guys don't lose on pay-per-view typically. Like, I went through their history earlier. I was actually having a comment with Sir Sam, and it was like, there's like 2 shows, maybe 3, where it's like, yeah, get it out of here. Everything other than that is, like, very high quality, ranging from, like, very, very high quality show of the year contender to some of the greatest wrestling shows of all time. So, and you know what, I think there are people that would like to call this the greatest show of all time. I can't do that, but what I can do is say how I look at it, just because, like, I don't, you know, there's just so much shit. Can you get in the room? That's what I feel like. And I feel like AEW Revolution 2023 can get in the room, essentially.
So Do you think it's the best AEW pay-per-view of all time?
I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I felt in the moment, but when you like lay it down on paper and it's like, yo, I saw people giving 3 different matches on this show 5 stars. How many of them, you think they were 5 stars or whatever, up to you. I've seen 2, them giving 2 of them. I've seen 1. I've seen a bunch of 4.75s, and the thing was, nothing was bad. I don't think there was anything under like a 3-star effort, maybe 3 1/4. But from there, it was just like the top stuff nailed it so much. And then Starks and Jericho was great. And then the casket match, like supporting it underneath. And it was like, you look at like the top 5 or 6 and it's just like great. And then it's like, yeah, like it just was dope. I don't know. I got to sit with it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in that range too. Because you told me that Lanza and Craig both, or one of the two or both of them said that like, they think it's the greatest pay-per-view ever, and I'm just like, I don't even think it's the best pay-per-view that they've done. But that's their opinion. But I was just like, at first, just off first blush, I was like, I don't know, man. Like, there's been some AEW pay-per-views where it's like they've had like 6 4-star matches, or basically knocking on the door of 4-star matches, depending on how you feel about them, whatever else. And I understand like the two matches are a doozy or whatever else, but like there is something to say about the main event thing with the AEW. But like, just bell ring to bell ring over and over and over. I feel like there's a few pay-per-views that they've had that are better than that, let alone like the rest of the world. And, it's really hard for me to think there's something better than some of these Wrestle Kingdoms. But, whatever.
I'm partial to Dominion 2018 myself, but that's neither here nor there. I guess we should run through it. Let's go from the bottom to the top.
Yeah. So first match, Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks.
Bandaged up. Bandaged up.
Yeah, bandaged up. So I'm assuming he got injured or he got attacked at Rampage, and I didn't see Rampage, right?
Who knows?
You didn't watch Rampage?
I did not. I was watching Creed 3.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, so taped up ribs. Jericho pulls out the butterfly knee drop or backbreaker on him at a certain point. Ricky Starks did a tope through the ropes. So I was surprised. And then you're watching. I'm like, this feels like a WWE Jericho pay-per-view match. And it was very good. I think that Ricky was sloppy early on, but he kind of tightened up towards the closing stretch. But yeah, I thought it was a very good match. And at the end, Ricky Starks ended up hitting the Rochambeau and getting the W.
So James, Chris Jericho didn't bury anybody.
No. In fact, he was a better wrestler, performer, and then put a dude over clean as, and then also like then put over the babyface clean as a sheet after like trying to cheat in the middle of the match, or did cheat in the middle of the match. Yeah.
He got his own finisher thwarted.
Yep.
He didn't sap this guy's momentum. He didn't do all these things that people have made up about Chris Jericho for months, and these. If you're upset that Eddie Kingston lost and then got himself into further trouble backstage, just say that. That's not on Chris Jericho. All these, people were talking about all his feuds are too long and all this shit. It was just like, just being mystified at why Ricky Starks would want to wrestle him again. I'd be like, because the pay-per-view's coming. Use your fucking brain. It is so frustrating to think about how people treat a guy that has an argument of being like, you look at the history of this company and you think about who's gotten more people over than this guy. It's a short list, if there's a list at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we doing here, man? Yeah, I thought this was...
Look, a lot of people are really into Eddie Kingston, and I get it, but it was overblown at the time. Because obviously, like, he was set to then move over to, face Danielson and face Moxley, and he had to put over Danielson and Moxley, and now look where he's at. Like, he was a formidable heel that was going to be trampled at the top. I think people thought he was, like, going to get the belt again or something. I don't know.
Like, Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho had to happen over the summer. Somebody had to lose to set it up. I mean, but yeah, as far as this match, this was I thought this was very well worked. I didn't think this was I wouldn't go notebook or anything with this, but I thought it was the big match that it needed to be for Ricky Starks to put wins under his belt. I don't know as far as, like, the impressiveness of it or anything like that. You mentioned Jericho still being the better performer. I totally agree. But this is the theme of the show. This is like, all right, we're going to give these dudes something. Like, and, you got 2 wins over Jericho. I think that it's done now, and they can move on. And let's see him. Let's see him get in there with, I don't know the heel roster and all that, but, this was a good enough opener for a pay-per-view, I would say.
Yeah. Very good pay-per-view opener. And is that what we do with Jericho now for the time being? Not saying it's a bad thing, but, like, do we just put him in openers from here on out, or for a certain amount of time? Like, give him, like, the Azumi Hanan treatment?
I think
the Kingston thing last year, Kingston last year, Revolution, 1 year anniversary, Revolution this year.
You could do that. We know Jericho advocate to go on first. He loves doing it. I think there's still another match with him and Kenny that can be explored, especially with their Winnipeg show coming up March 15th. I would love for them to do that there.
You think they can get there that quick?
One can hope, but I think Jericho can write his own ticket. If he wants to work 4 or 5 times a year, he can do it. If he wants to be on every show, he can do it. He's got a whole unit that he can kind of either blow up right now or do whatever. And he has something in the fallout.
Okay. So what was the second match on the card? Was it the casket match?
Second match was the casket match.
Yeah. Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. I'm sorry. Jungle Boy versus Turtleneck Christian Cage. This man listens to One Nation Radio. This man listens to James Boyd of One Nation Radio from the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Rich, how many weeks have I came on this show and talked about Christian coming out here in a fucking turtleneck, in a coat over the top of it, looking like after he goes out here and buries the shell of Jungle Boy and buries his family and also buries the motherfuckers that actually buried in his family, and also buried his parents,
since the summer,
his mother and his sister. How he's about to go out and go, looking for some appropriate age trim with a wine glass in hand. I've talked about this for a while now, and sure enough,
Christian is all ages man.
So Christian comes out for this, street fight / casket match, and he came out first. So, like, you come as you are, and what I am is a man that wears a turtleneck. He comes out with a black turtleneck with the sleeves off, and I'm sitting in my fucking house howling, bitch. I couldn't believe this. And then then Jungle Boy comes out, and he's basically like, "Hey, man, like, you know what I'm doing? Like, I'm 90 Shawn Michaels or 2000 Shawn Michaels come out." With the just no shirt and some some Asher Watts jeans on, and a belt, and Sean used to have like the tan boots, and like Jungle Boy, luckily his boots are close enough to tan. He ain't got to change them. He just comes out in those. So
that man was dressed like it was SummerSlam 2002 out here. Only thing he didn't come out on with is the wife beater with the Jesus quote on it, or I think it was a Bible verse on it.
Yeah, good thing he didn't cut his hair like Sean did either. So
years away from that.
So they had a match. Jungle Boy gets the best of him. Chris is like, "Fuck this match." He runs the opposite side away from the. Go ahead.
Like, this match was unintentionally hilarious. Like, it made me smile the whole time watching it, because Chris was just such an old, crusty veteran, and like, they were fighting in the dirt like children, and like they were dudes, you know, throwing sand at them and shit. Like, bro, I was howling just watching like everything they did during this.
Yeah, man, Christian's like reversals and momentum were like great. Like it was all just like either he outsmarted him or like he just an old crusty Vader. You mentioned like the dirt in the eyes. There's also a point where like I think Jungle Boy they were actually on the dirt by the casket, and Jungle Boy has them on the dirt in the snare trap. And after he already got him in the eyes with the dirt, he's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to gouge his eyes. And I was like, this man's out here working the eyes in this match. It's hilarious. So ultimately, you know, inside of the casket, Christian pulls out 2 chairs, obviously, you know, in reference to the concerto that they'd used on each other, or that Christian used on Jungle Boy. And you know, a couple weeks ago, Jungle Boy tried to return a favor, never could. That was always being saved for this match. So at the end, Jungle Boy gets the best of Christian. He is finally nailing the concerto on Christian. Christian sold it like he actually really got hit, and I was like, wait, did he accidentally fuck around and hit him on accident? You know, that man's brains, you know, that's a scrambled egg. So drags the carcass, puts his ass into the casket, and you know, like basically like mourned him, like, yeah, I just killed this dude. That was my, like, you know, a role model for me, and a person that helped me, and like this is over with. And then he closed that door, and that fucking casket dropped.
That shit fell like doop. That was bro. That
look. And people were asking me what the hell was that, and I was like, you know what that is? That is express shipping to Stamford. He's been packed up and shipped out, 24-hour delivery.
So I was on a show last Monday. That's why we did our show Sunday with All Elite, Keeks, and friends on Public Enemy's podcast on YouTube. And I talked about this match in particular in this feud, like having, like, you know, if you pull the threads on the feud, this goes back to the inception of the company, like of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and even Marco Stunt being there and being replaced by Christian. And this was like wrapping up that chapter of Jungle Boy's career, like with the cage match at Full Gear, and then this right here with Christian Cage. And it's like, this guy is a prime time performer. I don't know who needs to hear it, but when it comes to pay-per-view, like, the Jungle Boy is for real. And he's got years of work on this, whether it's in tags or now singles, to really, you know, start talking about his trajectory towards the top of this promotion. If he's going to get there, like, it ain't good because he don't wrestle good enough. Like, so, Christian was awesome. This whole thing ruled.
Yeah. And for a match that was, you know, obviously gimmicky and whatever else, like, I was highly entertained. Like this, I'm thinking of giving this 4 stars.
I went 4 on this.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though it was funny as hell. Next match after that, the Trios title match, the Elite, Kenny Omega, Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson versus House of Black, Malachi Black, and I'm blanking on their 2 names.
Brody King and Buddy Matthews.
Right. I was like, wait, I want to call him Buddy Murphy. And I was like, nah, that ain't it. It's Buddy something. Okay. Yeah. So this match was awesome. And this match, like, reminded me of, is not like the Lucha Bros and Elite stuff. It's more like a PWG match of, we have individual matchups and that you want to see with certain wrestlers. So start off the match with Kenny Omega and Buddy Matthews, and then
this was the Who Wants Some of Kenny Invitational right here.
Right. And then, like, Excalibur has to, like, tiptoe diplomatically around the part where, like, Kenny Omega, like, did X, Y, and Z and popularized these particular moves, and then Buddy Murphy cribbed those things, and let's say sampled them, right? I guess to be more polite. He sampled those things, and then now they're in the ring together, and he has to try to form that as a story, and it's like, the real story is, this dude was really good. This dude may have been the best wrestler in the world. This dude started using this dude's moves, and now they're here together. And he was trying to massage it real nice, where not make it sound like Buddy Murphy's an absolute crook. And I'm just like, nah, man, it's wrestling. Just steal that shit. Who cares?
Don Callis was sitting there and he was like almost trying to say like, all right, Don, are you impressed? And Don was like, no, like.
So they both wrestled around a little bit, and then they both tease and evade V triggers from each other, and then like an instant stanza of like, show me what you got. All right, we kind of at a standoff. Let's tag out. Except Buddy tags in Malachi, and the crowd was with it. And it was like, me, Rich, I've been waiting for this match for years. I've been waiting for a Malachi Omega match for years, and the crowd was like, apparently was like, oh, this is really cool too. So they have their match, and it's Kenny in there with obviously a striker with a Muay Thai background, but also the thing with Malachi is like he's like this really nasty like technical wrestler and chain wrestler and get you on the mat. And like it was really cool to see Kenny Omega like work a more technical style than he normally does, as opposed to like more dynamic, just kind of stuff. And I thought it was cool to see like a change of approach for him, or more than what you usually see, but he can do. It's like the same thing when you see like Zack Sabre and Ospreay. Like we was like, oh yeah, Ospreay can do this stuff, but like it's nice to see him, do it every so often, and then like kind of go back to his thing. So that was really cool. And then like basically from there, they get in Brody King, and he's basically the monster on the hill. He's like the bloater monster in freaking The Last of Us, where he's like, hey, can't do nothing with him. He's big, he's strong, he's unstoppable. And it took basically the rest of that match where he just basically is the game changer. It took so many different types of measures to like finally get him hurt. And then
a lot of young bucks like both catching him with dual moves, triple super kicks. And then from there, you get to a lot of points of saves. People started making saves and great kickouts and near falls and really cool stuff, blind tags. And, and then, it felt like a PWG match, trios match that was like in front of however many thousands of people, 10,000 people, or something like that, right? 11,000, something like that. So, awesome match. At the end, the House of Black gets the W. Yeah. They came out.
I think it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, because obviously the build was like there's a lot of nasty shit going around the rumor mills right now. A lot of people talking about everything in the lack of focus on the elite, the lack of focus on this story in particular. Just not much there going into it. And to drop the belts off. I think it was a Meltzer driver counter from Buddy Matthews. Hit Nick Jackson with a knee. Then they flipped Matt over, and Matt's in there. They're dead. Matt's the pin eater, so it was over. I was like, well, he's not kicking out, and then he didn't. But yeah, like I think this kind of this serves a couple different masters. I think the elite have those trios belts were kind of made for them, and they've been kind of roped around these things since August with a small break in between, and getting them out of there back into possibly the Bucks going into the tags or Kenny going singles. That I think that's a benefit. And then a lot of people have wanted to get something going for the House of Black for quite a while. They've been standing in the shadows, not really doing much, kind of waiting for this whole thing to pop off. But Kenny still got the IWGP US title. I could see those defenses. I could see the Bucks, starting to try to gain some momentum going back, and between the House of Black, like they should be able to like do something with those. I don't see why not.
Yeah. When they made the trios titles, like they're one of the first team. Like for me anyway, after the Elite in Lucha Bros and Pac, like House of Black is the first thing I thought of. So yeah, like they were going to eventually get them. Glad to have them. I want to see what they do with them. And like, we've seen it, right? Like the trios matches, they don't need much of a storyline. Like if you move, I think the problem was that like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were such a level superstar. It's kind of weird that like they're around, they have the belts, they're not talking much. it was kind of weird. Whereas like if you put the belts on House of Black, they ain't got to talk. They just show up, beat people's ass, and move on, and drop it to the next trios team, and you don't have to do much with them. At least I don't think. I think, I just think that the level of star power on them made it weird that they weren't talking.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also
talking,
should not be forgotten.
Time.
Shout out to Julie. Go ahead.
They weren't talking. They weren't getting time even.
Yeah. But shout out to Julia Hart. Should be mentioned. They set up the V trigger.
It is
one of them
she earned some money. Actually,
she ate it on the apron and went down and just died. It was awesome.
These knees
earned her keep.
Like these are canned knees. Anybody can get it. These are equal opportunity V triggers for men and women, and it's been like that for Kenny for years.
Yeah. So
and like just to wrap up their title reign, like, bro, if we look at their average star rating, I bet that shit would be like filthy. Like
it'd be over 4.5.
Like,
well, maybe like the second match with Top Flight and AR Fox may have dropped it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't watch that match.
Yeah, but like just overall, like a hell of a run with those belts.
Yeah. And I think it's appropriate that they don't have some huge, 6-month long reign. Like, it's their trios titles. They don't need to be, like, I know people were complaining about, like, the TNT titles being moved around much. Like, it's a secondary title. Secondary titles get moved around. It happens. Like, people win them and win them back. Especially when, like, it really functioned as a TV title for a long time. So, yeah, like, this can be moved around. It doesn't need to be, like, Stardom white and red belt title reigns where, like, everyone needs to have the belt for, like, 10 fucking months. So yeah, moving on from there, a match that I thought was doomed when I saw the match placement after having to follow House of Black and the Elite, the AEW Women's Three-Way match between Jamie Hayter, Saraya, and Ruby Soho. When I saw that match next, I was like, oh my god, why would they do this to them? This is awful. Are y'all trying to make a point here? Like, what was happening? But the match was actually not bad. The match was actually better than average. The match was actually good. I thought that it might just come down to the real thing where it's like maybe Saraya, obviously, with Toni Storm, like maybe she's just, for now, you need to put her in tags or put her multi-person matches that kind of hide her for now until she gets her legs underneath her or whatever else. But I thought this was actually a decent match, and I thought the twists and turns of like how are Britt and Tony at ringside, like trying to, get momentum for their friend on both ends. Like, I thought that was also like a nice touch as well.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, this doesn't suck. Like I was like, just like, man. And then like you would see Saraya in there and she's like isolating someone in the corner, and then it's almost like it hit me. I was like, wow, I'm not even like really even thinking about her. Like, she's just like, it's not like this pressure that's on her to either be having a good match or anything like that. She kind of just got to come in and kind of like ring general it a little bit, just be in the right place and just kind of work with the people around you. And I think Jamie held all this together still. And what was the Saki Kashima
yes. So it's her and Ruby. I forgot. I think Ruby, they were trading near falls, and all of a sudden at the end of it, Jamie pulls out the fucking Saki Kashima Sapapapan.
See, I always want to say Yappa Pie, like Yappa Pie strap match, like Hogan says.
Man, I don't know what's going on between like the Milano Collection AT like safety belt /
this is Odeyo Tai. This is Jamie clearly using a callback to her time in Odeyo Tai.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, AEW is now picking up on these, like, these are finishers. Like, these flash finishes are actual finishers that can push your ass away and people will understand them and know them. Like, so when the safety belt comes out, when this crucifix pin comes out, like, people are like, you can get put away. And I think that's actually a good, like, way to educate fans on, like, it doesn't need to just be a big move to put someone away. So yeah, really cool. And like, after the match, post-match, you have, which is interesting because obviously they were fighting the whole time, and then she made a save for them, but Tony and Saraya start beating up on Jamie. Britt gets in. Ruby helps clear the ring of the two outsiders or whatever you want to call them, and crowd gets together and thinks like, oh, okay, so like Ruby's going to side with the homegrown talent, if you will, which is okay, whatever. And as it looks like that's going to happen, she then betrays Jamie and Britt, and then like she hits I think she hits what's her finish called?
No future.
The no future on Jamie. Britt sees it, shocked face. She ends up getting dropped too, and then Saraya and Tony get in the ring. They hand Ruby the can of spray, and she sprays L's on both of them, and all three of them walk off together. And then Tony, you have Tony. So then they walk off, and commentary is like, well, she was always, an outsider, even though she's been there for so long. And I was like, I can't believe they're going with this lazy story. But okay, whatever.
I think it's going to get more interesting now because, like, more dynamics, more people are getting brought into it. I think when Jay gets into it, it's going to get pretty interesting because, like, she has to, like, start mixing eventually with, like, the rest of the people. Riho's getting a lot of wins right now.
White. You never noticed that until then. Now it was never explained. It was never like expressed that Blake that just outright before, huh? She has to interact with whites now. Yes,
you stupid.
She's going to side with the whites. That's never happened with Jade Cargill before.
Riho is there getting a bunch of wins right now. She comes out on the original side.
Yes, AEW original Riho, who's been wrestling for over a decade.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm more into it now after this turn than I was going into the match. Mission accomplished.
That's funny.
Up next.
Right, so, yes.
Texas Death Match.
No, you gotta say it like how they say it. Texas Death. And just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I don't know why they say it like that. I don't know if they think they're doing something, but whatever, man.
Yeah.
It's a match. It's not a fight. It's not a brawl. It's a Texas Death Match. Has stipulation, so it's fine.
Brother.
But
this nigga Hangman Page came out with his new entrance. I think it's a one-off only, I think. But he comes out to something called Ghost Riders in the Sky. And when I saw this motherfucker walking out, I was like, yes! Bro, I was so fired up during this entrance and like let's go. This is a motherfucking ace. And I was like, y'all had the nerve to let that washed up bum beat this man. Like, man, yeah, that whole entrance was incredible. Watch it again.
Yeah, so I don't even know where to start or end. This match was just gory violence throughout. You had barbed wire chairs. It was funny because I think one of them on commentary was like, I don't think I've ever seen a barbed wire chair before. I was like, I could have sworn I've seen Moxie with a barbed wire chair before. Lots of barbed wire. Barbed wire traps that were on the floor that they end up like lifting up on top of chairs to hold them up. Brawled around ringside, I believe, or did they brawl in the stands? They brawled in the stands at the start. Yeah, because before Moss could actually get into the ring. It was a lot. A lot of great stuff.
Forks, bricks.
Yes, the bricks in particular. Yeah, like I think that was the best near fall I've seen so far this year. I think it was what is it, Death Rider on bricks? No, it was a curb stop on bricks. That's what it was. The curb stop on bricks. I was like, oh, he's done. And kicked out. I was like, holy shit.
The barbed wire moonsault to the floor.
Yes, it's fucking cool. I'm going to think about that.
I'm going to hurt me to hurt you.
No, not even that. think about this. Obviously, it's fake. Whatever. It's sensational, so you don't think about it too much, right? Otherwise, you pull one thread, it goes too far. But think of the idea. I'm going to wrap my body around with one wire of barbed wire, and then I'm going to then jump and flip and fall, 12 feet to the ground, and think that, and the idea is I'm going to hurt this person maybe this much more than me. What are the odds that actually being the case where you actually hurt that person more than you? Doing a moonsault wrapped around with barbed wire wrapped around yourself. Like, it's just ridiculous and funny and like, wow. Yeah, man, but this match was awesome. It also had like the bricks out, and then like he stomps, and Moxley stomps Hangman's hand, and one of his hands were between the bricks. Yeah, it was you also had the spot where you get the power bomb on the two spines of the chair. It was a lot. I think this is the second best like crazy death match they've done, singles match in AEW. Like, I still think the Omega Moxie match is ahead, but I think this match was like the next best thing I can think of, because it's kind of hard because they've done so many of these blood porn matches. I don't know, bro.
I thought this was a perfect match. They thought about this stuff. I thought so much.
Moxie does that. Like
the machismo of this thing, the just real man energy of this. Like, this was 5 stars. I was like, no question about it. About like 75% through the match, I was like, this is like incredible. And this is like, you add up all their matches. This is a feud of the year contender. Hangman Page as another, Jon Moxley as another, and like, we knew what this was. This was the repair Hangman Page, mission accomplished. You could easily flip him up to the next, the world title scene, but he finished this match by making a man who had not submitted in 10 years submit by hanging him with a chain. This was just like, so many iconic images, I think, will come from this match. I haven't watched it again yet, but bro, I felt like I was watching like Triple H versus Cactus Jack at like the 2000 Royal Rumble or something. And it was
this is better than that.
This was better, but it was just like the level of like going at each other. That's like what I was like kind of thinking of, and it being such a big match for like Triple H, and then I felt like this was such a big match for Hangman Page.
Well, I remember the Danielson matches, end of 2021, beginning of 22,
mm-hmm.
And he bladed in both of those. And I remember at the end, I remember you saying like on the show, like, you know what? I think Hangman is a blood guy. We just never knew it. And this kind of goes to show that he is. This is what he wants to do. I think they did a really good job of going past the standard, like, you see spots with this kind of stuff, barbed wire exploding match they had, lights out match with Omega, stand on particularly as like, as this example of like, what a regular hardcore death match is in pro wrestling. We're going to give you 1 or 2 or 3 visuals that are going to creep you out to an extent, or make you think about things to an extent that makes you think that takes it beyond what a really great normal death match is to begin with. And I was impressed. Like, this goes back to Moxie with that chain, but like in that lights out match with Omega, like in the bleed up, Omega said, "What are you gonna do?" Like, of course we want a lights out match. What do you think? You think you're gonna chain wrestle me? And then what do you know? He grabs a chain and fucking locks him up with a chain, right? Like that's thinking. Like, well, in this particular case, you got Moxley hog tying a cowboy. Like, that's fucking hilarious.
That too.
That's fucking hilarious. Like, Moxie really thinks these things through with his opponents and like what he wants to get to with this stuff. And like when he's in there with like a big opponent, like he's definitely going to give them like the opportunity and the space to like let them have their best, ghoul match. And he's with it because, it don't take nothing to ask him to bleed. But like the another example I want to say is like the the Abdullah spot with the like, stabbing with the knife, like, or not the knife, but the fork. Like, that was gross. that's one of those things that make you feel uncomfortable. Similar to like, the Glass with Omega in the Lights Out match. Like these things make you feel like instead of you're just watching and be like, holy shit or whatever else, you're like, it makes you kind of wince and say like, oh, this is beyond the pale. Like Moxie's good at that. Moxie's really good at that. And I thought they did a great job of getting you uncomfortable at times with what was going on in the ring. And that was the point. So yeah, it was a great match. I'm really bad at grading these type of things or whatever else. They're not my cup of tea. I'm not going to rank. I'm not going to go back and watch these and rank these, but it was way up there as one of the better, sicko matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't get those feelings of like being like grossed out or anything during these matches. Like I'm a kind of a ghoul, I'd say. I just don't care. But but this was just like, this felt like just so big. And it was and earned, and like for months of these guys getting to it, and that hanging at the end, Jesus Christ.
So Sir Sam is talking about the hanging too in the comments, and I'm like, if he was actually hung, like Moxie's feet are clearly on the ground the whole time. But sure.
But he's getting choked, so like,
No. But yeah, I get that part, but it's like Moxie gotta do a little get this much off the ground to make me actually think you actually getting hung before tapping out, instead of just being like, oh, chain's right around my neck and my feet are on the ground. And I'm just, it's time for me to give it up. But obviously the visual makes sense. Like he's getting choked. It's either tap out because you lost or you're dead. Like, so yeah, that was an appropriate finish.
What a match. Bravo. Will be on my match of the year list. Up next, TNT title, Wardlow and Samoa Joe. These brothers did not have a chance. It's
At what point did you realize that Samoa Joe got blown up?
I didn't realize he was blown up. I thought you were going to ask, at what point did you know they didn't have a chance? I was going to say immediately. Like
he was blown up, and it reminded me of like that Karrion Kross match where he won the title. It reminded me of that, where he's like, he's going, maybe at this point he's only meant to do like, the brawl and make face thing and wrestle small dudes. They can just dominate. Like, but wrestling people his size, he just can't. He don't have a gas tank for it. But he was clearly blown up.
Yeah, this wasn't like bad or anything, but this was just like, it was there. It was standard. Vince McMahon would have loved this match. This would have been like, if they put like, I don't know, fucking, like if they put like, what was that match at WrestleMania 24? Like, this is like Batista and Umaga or something like that. That's kind of what this was, but the result, Wardlow gets a belt back. Wardlow a little bit icier than normal. I gotta say, man, I think cutting his hair, he kind of lost his superpowers a little bit. And Hobbs is waiting for him, and this whole thing. Actually, can we talk about this? This has been masterfully booked to get back to this initial point of Hobbs versus Wardlow, where it started.
A year ago?
It wasn't even a year ago. I think it was like before like All Out, like before Joe got added in to make it a three-way. It was.
I could have. Well, hold on. I could have sworn at Revolution when we were there. There was like a ladder match that involved Keith Lee, Wardlow.
You're actually right.
Hobbs.
It goes back further than I thought it did, but yeah. Just them officially being linked, like they were squaring off, like they were going to get a singles match at the end of last summer, and then Joe gets added, Joe wins it, Darby gets weaved into it. They trade the joint back and forth. Wardlow leaves. They do this whole thing with the haircut, and he leaves for a while, comes back after Joe gets it back. They do it here, and then Hobbs is waiting for him on the other side. Like, I think that's like the cool stuff they used to do with the Intercontinental title in the 90s. Like when it's just, this next person's kind of waiting that you had some type of issue with, and they're all just like, I'm coming back for you. I'm coming back for you. I'm looping back around. So they got a match this Wednesday. I don't know which way it's going to go because they're still in the Bay Area. Hobbs is going to be really over there.
I thought they're in Sacramento.
Yeah, they're in Sacramento for Dynamite, but I imagine they have no problem, showing up for him there. So I don't know what you do here. I think you could go either way. When Wardlow originally won that, he did lose his challenge. So I don't know which way you go with it, James. What do you think?
I'll say what I think. They got to get rid of the Sonic ring being the brass ring thing for winning it, because like it was ridiculous seeing Wardlow on the second rope holding up the belt, gesturing towards the box suite that Hobbs was in, and Hobbs answers back by like lifting up that big ass fucking Sonic the Hedgehog ring, and it just looks so fucking ridiculous. Like, look, I understand pro wrestling is ridiculous, it's fake fighting, I get it, but I don't know if it was just because it was Hobbs holding up the ring, but it was like you look fucking ridiculous on this thing. What is I don't know. They got to come up with something else.
Did you see the picture of him holding the ring in the aisleway after he first won it?
No.
That shit's fucking hilarious. I am it to you. But yeah, he hold on, let me find this shit. Look like he's like just holding a big life raft or a big donut. He's smiling like it's pretty funny. I'm gonna see if I can show this to you guys here.
Oh my god!
So it's a little bit cut off on the screen here, but you guys can see how happy Hobbs is to have had that.
It looks ridiculous, man. Like no knock against it or whatever else, but like the reason why you had these props is for the visual of taking the pictures with it. And like, yes, it's goofy enough that like, you know, the trophy or the thing that symbolizes you having a title is this belt, this gaudy belt anyway. But like, I could get past that because I grew up on that. I guess maybe if I was 20 years younger or whatever else, and I was 10 years old, I'd be perfectly fine with the big Sonic the Hedgehog ring. But like, I'm still having trouble with motherfuckers coming out here with these briefcases for winning the G1 or for winning Money in the Bank still. And yeah, man, it's just the brass ring thing is just too comical, too like slapstick comedy for me. It just is, especially for his character. Like if it was like Orange Cassidy, sure, whatever. But Orange Cassidy, he's not serious to be taken serious of. What is unserious about Powerhouse Hobbs? That man will beat your ass.
I think go ahead and give the belt to Hobbs. Wardlow already has a win over MJF hanging, so like if you can like try to recapture him being around MJF again or something like that in the coming months, maybe go with that. But Hobbs has been set to kind of get a big push for quite a while. Let's see where he's at. Why not?
I'm sorry for going back to the ring again, but look, Brewhaven in the comments said that Hobbs should choke someone with the ring, and now all I'm imagining is like Baby Boy with Ving Rhames behind Tyrese choking the shit out of himself with a ring instead of his big ass bicep, just choking with a ring.
Wardlow, King of the North says, thoughts on Wardlow getting a valet along his next chapter, maybe Rebel as his manager / valet. If Wardlow turns, sure, give him a valet. If he doesn't, no. He's gonna have to get it like the Red Cross.
I mean, it could. Who could be a good manager for a babyface they could have to basically be like basically a person in peril that can make him like, it could be like an Achilles heel for him to why he loses. It's like, like a Jose Lothario type is what I'm kind of mean, right? Is there somebody you can find for him? Because I think it could work that way, where it's like he loses because like somebody goes outside and takes advantage of him or whatever. So evil manager takes advantage of the good manager, that sort of thing.
Babyface managers kind of stink historically. I think Cody ran into trouble with that with Arn.
But that's different because he's using them every fucking match.
Yeah, I feel like the Warlow guy get it on his own.
All right.
So what we have after that?
Oh yeah, so after that you end up getting
the tag team
match. You have to take it from there because I was behind watching the show, so like I skipped this match to get to the main event. So Rich, this is your turn to go run it. solo.
When I saw this match on the schedule, I thought this was shambolic. I was like, what is going on here? How it played out during the show, it actually felt like it fit just fine because, like, I think people were still in the afterglow of the Moxley and Page match, and this one just was 100% pure fun. They knew exactly what they were. They weren't coming out here trying to just be dead serious. This was a lot of gimmicks interacting with each other, and this was pretty fun. Like, lots of comedy. Jeff Jarrett's a fucking gimmick. Just an old man gimmick wrestler now. Satnam Singh came out. James Satnam and Sanjay came out with the turbans on, with the suits. Them boys was fresh out there. That looked great.
All right, what kind of shoes they have on?
I didn't catch the shoes, but I'm sure they were fresh. If anybody can run down photos of those, if you can link them in the comments, I would appreciate it. But Orange Cassidy and Danhausen both came out in black denim. That was just hilarious. Because it was like, yeah, it's Danhausen's color, but he's wearing jeans. Like, so, jeans wrestler, Danhausen. So, Max Caster, not one of his best verses. It sounds like he was off beat. It's like he couldn't hear the beat, and then the lines basically I didn't think they hit at all. So, like, back to the drawing board on that one. So but yeah, this was awesome though. Guns, you know, just turned on Double J in the middle of the match. They were you know, how they do the strut stuff, and you know, it's like scissors, like Jeff Jarrett was scissoring, like it was pretty funny. So this was a blast. Guns retained, and this really set up the after the match. They basically said we whooped everybody's ass, and they run down all the teams they beat. They talk about how they beat FTR. FTR's music hits, crowd pops pretty big. Dax and Cash come out looking mightily like they've been in the gym. Well, at least I know Cash has been in the gym. Dax has been on the podcast and been on Twitter and been making best tag team brackets of all time and everything else. So, we have the comment section going crazy right now, you know, chiming in on the FTR, but they came in, got a good response, laid a smackdown on the Guns. Dax somehow got busted open above his eye, so he was bleeding. But they're back, and yes, that bracket they put out also, yeah, it fucking sucked. Like, you put you leave yourselves out the bracket, right? But you put the Young Bucks as a 5 seed, and then it was like they were allergic to Japanese tag teams. Like, it was weird, bro.
You're surprised that you're surprised by that,
bro. If the Young Bucks,
you really thought they were gonna have Holy Demon Army on their thing? You really thought that?
I don't even know if they did it that or not. They might have had them, right?
You thought they were gonna have LCO on there? You thought they were gonna have like Manami Toyota and Toshiya Yamada?
Bro, no, they had the Hardy Boys at a 1 seed. I'm like, if you're going to tell me the Young Bucks are a 5 seed, you have to tell me why the Hardy Boys are a 1 seed.
Because they did it in the Fed, brother. You know that's the reason why.
But also the New Day was a 5 seed.
Oh, so you want to know why they were a 5 seed and so low?
Yeah, bro. It's
do you want to talk about it right now, or do you want to talk about it when we're off the show?
Good God. Yeah, the Dudleys are 2, bro. Like, there's a lot, bro. Like, and I was looking at that bracket and I looked at it. I didn't digest it and break it down, but I was like, where'd they put the Bucks? And then I laughed. I think the Usos also were a 5 seed, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Rich,
this is interesting. You know, but yeah,
because at least with the New Day, you could be like, well, which team? Because there's 3 different fucking teams.
Yeah.
With the Usos, it's just them 2.
See, these are the things, you know, and then working bad storylines.
Here's my
that
question.
You hate the company. What's up?
Where was Harlem Heat?
Can somebody tell us where Harlem Heat was in the comments? I believe Demolition was also either a 1 or 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken.
Demolition?
Yeah.
Where were the Road Warriors in?
I think the Road Warriors were 1 seed, I think.
Okay, hold on. So Demolition were 1 seed. Road Warriors were 1 seed. And the Hardys were 1 seed. Where were Edge and Christian?
I think they were also a 1 seed. I think.
Those are not the 3 best tag teams in America. Like, in American pro wrestling history. Like, I'm sorry.
Tag team.
No Briscoes. Look, there are 2 sets of Briscoes you could pick.
Bro, hold on. March Madness, greatest tag team of all time tournament. Yeah, this is so bad.
We spend too much time on FTR. We really do.
Yeah, it's so bad. Good God. Yeah, but they're back. I was happy to see Cash Wheeler. Why not? Cash don't do nothing to nobody. But here comes Dax, and these they were a 7 seed. Got you.
Harmony was 7 seed.
Yeah. The 10-time WCW Tag Team Champions, But either way, they are.
Where was Luger and Sting? Where are the outsiders?
I don't know, man. But these guys,
I have to look this up.
They have allegedly re-signed with AEW.
Rich, I hate you, man. I didn't give a fuck about this list tonight. You told me he's not mentioned to see where he put these now, because I'm going to see. I'm going to in my mind be like, where does this all? Where some of these biases are now?
Oh, we'll be able to figure it out post show. We'll do it. But yeah, man, they re-signed their contract after all that fake work shoot bullshit. And playing on Twitter and doing all the things Dax Harwood likes to do. So if you can somehow not pay attention to him making a fool of their team online, you may enjoy their work inside the professional wrestling ring. Golden Lovers, 14 seed. These people need their houses bombed. All right, let's move forward. Enough of the FTR. Main event, AEW World Championship match. MJF versus Bryan Danielson for the world title in an Iron Man match. Sensational match. Man, it was no secret that I was not looking forward to this match. I had my fair share of issues with the storyline going into this. I thought all the Regal stuff was actively detrimental to this thing, and a lot of the stuff with Danielson wrestling peaked weeks ago. And this was a MJF that was a Jekyll and Hyde, type, performance. Like 1 week he's great, the next week he's just cutting completely unhinged promos just that have nothing to do with anything, and then the whole time it's just like, do I really want to watch these guys wrestle for an hour? And then like the bullshit happened right at the very end, and then the match came and it started off pretty slow, and I was like, I sent James a message like, I'm bored. And this is like after I got the super death match. I got the fun, like with the fatal 4-way and all that. Got the return with FTR. And then, it started off slow, but I liked MJF's gear and, his presentation coming out, came back out with the devil mask. And then they just started the matches kept getting more locked into what they were trying to do, and by the time they were rolling around in those near falls around like the 25-minute mark, they thought they would start like Kid Izumi. It was
they better do it twice as fast then.
But after that, I thought the match was it was really great, and it was the crowd was going insane down the stretch. It peaked perfectly, so maybe that slow start, it helped. Just for me, I'm looking for that 60 minutes, go. But from there, and then the use of the overtime period, and I wasn't even too thrown off by the cheating at the end, because they did some really great near falls. I bought that one in overtime with the Busaiku knee. they did, goofiness to get some of the pins, but we've seen Iron Man matches and, where people couldn't stop paying attention to the clock and shit. This crowd was engaged in this match from the start to the finish. So that's a
Ziggler and Seth Rollins.
That's Ziggler and Seth Rollins. Awful. They couldn't even handle 30 minutes, let alone 60. And then also they laid out the falls all weird too. So this was Danielson like kind of chasing behind at the end. This was like light years ahead of like most Iron Man matches. As far as Iron Man matches, is this and then Kenny Omega and Pac. And those are, I would say, two different styles of matches. One of them 30 minutes, the other one 60. So I think that this was like, MJF doesn't wrestle often. I think we all know he's awesome, but like it takes so long to get to his shit, and he can check you out of what he's trying to do a lot of times. And, we've covered that. And I guess we should talk about him throwing the drink on the little kid and all that too. And that was just like, I think it was unneeded. It was the lowest of his shtick. And it was just an embarrassment, quite frankly. And it was like, what are you doing? And not only like does the company have to cover for you doing that, your fellow wrestlers have to cover for you doing that. Like Powerhouse Hobbs has to go out of his way to try to make this kid feel better now. They got to send Brody Lee's wife out there. Will Washington has to go over to the kid and give him an acclaimed foam finger. And then, just the visual of throwing it on a black child. Like, no, bro. Like, this is not good heel work. This is not the 1970s. This is not, any type of, like, I don't know what the fuck he thinks this is. Because had he thrown that on somebody that, like I think he picked his spot. I don't think he thought the woman would do anything to him. But I'm telling you, that could have not ended for him very well, depending on who he would have thrown that at. I'm not trying to purport myself as some type of tough guy or anything, but I have a little sister that I brought to wrestling shows like when she was probably a little bit older than that. Like, had that happened to her, I would have like shoved him or something. I would have got ejected essentially. And I don't think that's unreasonable to say, especially if you're throwing like a drink at and it hits the child like in the eyes. I thought that visual, I thought that was very embarrassing for MJF to like do that. And I think it was even more embarrassing for people to try to defend it, like to think like this is good or whatever. Like this is like what he needs to do, because like you didn't need that. You take that out of the match. Is that match any less great? No, people are still going on now about how great everything in this match was, but that was just a very low moment. And I think that he needs to go out of his way to make that right.
Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. First things first, the match for me, up until like the first 20 minutes, I was like, oh my God, why did they make this an hour? What the fuck are they thinking? In the last 20 minutes of regulation and overtime, I thought were incredible. So in general, I think it's worth it. It's a great match. Am I ever going to go back and watch it? Maybe. But that's a really long run time to get through them opening 20, 25 minutes. But yeah. As far as MJF and that stunt, when I saw it, I initially thought, oh, well, that's clearly a plant. And then you find out it wasn't planned. And similar thoughts to you, was like, what the fuck were you thinking? Did you do this because you saw this was a woman that was like apparently with him, and you knew she wasn't going to do anything to you because you're a jacked up man in the middle of a match? Like, what are you doing? And yeah, like, it was unacceptable. That was clearly a line that he should not have crossed. And like, the line is like, you can't get physical with anyone. Like, you just can't. Like, the only way it's fair game is if they put their hands on you first. They clearly did not. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Like you said, I don't know any of the fallout from it. I haven't seen any of it. I just heard that like apparently it was tequila. It wasn't even like water. It was tequila that got in the kid's eyes. Yeah, just a terrible fucking decision. Shouldn't have done this shit. And as far as will he make amends? He probably won't because he'll play it into his character because that's shit he does. Same thing that happened with when he did that walk out of that thing at All In or All Out last year. So, or sorry, Double or Nothing last year. Like he doesn't care.
The kid got free tickets and they brought him backstage and stuff like that, but it don't feel like it's enough for me personally.
I don't know what's appropriate or whatever else. I just know that he shouldn't have done the shit.
Yeah. Like,
but yeah, the match was great.
Like, what is the upside of that? Like, what do you gain out of that? Like,
more heat, even though it's like, bro, in the finish, you're about to make Daniel Bryan tap out to his own fucking move. Like, I think you have enough heat in the night.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that, man. MJF talked about this man kids during the build, tapped him out to his own move. Danielson got to go home.
Why are you gonna go home?
He need to not show his face around these parts for a couple weeks.
I think he's fine. You guys gotta keep in mind, like, he doesn't want to fucking win. He wants to put everybody else over.
No,
he's wanted to do that for years.
I ain't talking about getting put over. I'm talking about
kayfabe.
I'm talking about he got to go away. That man has been thoroughly embarrassed. The matter of fact, the Blackpool Combat Club as a staff record label and the crew was tapping out last night like hoes. The Blackpool Tap Out Club. Seamus Nova is saying so. Clear them out.
Yeah. It's probably not a good idea seeing two of your 5 biggest baby faces. You both have them tap out. All right. Does MJF have a? He doesn't have a like a finisher like for beating someone with a pin, does he?
He's used the Heat Seeker, I think, before like that. I know
what you're talking about. Power driver.
Yeah,
through the
that
ropes,
power driver through the ropes thing.
His one would be the tombstone off the second rope, but he always sells he always like. Does it in a match where he sells the leg, so he does a spot and then
the diamond ring. That's funny.
Yeah, that is his finished diamond ring. Yeah, that is true.
James Brown Wyo says, "Was this getting more hoed than getting stack pinned by Roman?" No, because at least he got hit with a fucking oxygen tank before that.
I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
But, yeah. Incredible match, though.
Look, we've seen Bryan Danielson take some awful losses. Like, who could really tell? There's too many. There's too many to even know, right? There's too many to even think about. Hell, then how did Miz beat him back in 2018?
I think he punched him with like brass knuckles. I think whatever Maurice gave him out of the purse. Yeah, right. I don't know what it was. If it was a
brick, wasn't it?
It might have been a brick.
Yeah. No, it was. There was a brick in the purse, but we never saw the brick in the purse until after she hit him with the purse, or the purse hit him. Yeah, and then after that, like I was like, I bet there's a brick in that purse. Remember, Reese opened that shit up. Got bricks on me, bricks on me. My little say I got bricks on me. Anyway, yeah. So it was It was a great match. Where do you rank that as far as Danielson's best matches in AEW?
Up there.
Like, it's funny because like he, like the whole weird thing's like he had never had some 5-star match from Meltzer apparently in his career until like he got to AEW and
about to get another one.
I think the Stadium Stampede, the Grand Slam match with Omega was Meltzer gave that 4 3/4.
No, he get at 5.
He get at 5? Okay. So then I think the Hangman match, I think he both gave those 4 3/4.
The first one he gave 5. The second one he gave 4 3/4.
Okay. So then so check this out. Then
Anarchy in the Arena.
Anarchy in the Arena. I think that got 5 stars, right?
Yep.
And then this is he's probably gonna throw 5 at this too.
At least.
Yeah. It's funny. Really funny. Yeah.
5-star Jake Hager, indeed.
Wow. That's like 5-star Lars. That's a funny one.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, great show top to bottom.
I think Dave will go 5.5 on the Iron Man match.
Black Sabre Jr. thinks he goes 5 1/4, but you got to remember, like, Meltzer never gave anything 5 1/4 until 2019. Everything was nothing. He was giving anything above 5 except for that one Masawa match. And then all of a sudden, like 2017 bumps around. It's like, oh, we should start throwing things above 5. And it's like, okay, well, how are these things? There's a million things that are 5s. There's a million things that are 5.5. There's no 5 1/4. It's almost as if you're just like, you just made this shit up on the fly. And you just start going above 5 now. And then like the New York takeover match between Gargano and Cole, he gave that 5 1/4 finally. And I was like, oh, okay. Now there's a match you appropriately deem like is 5 1/4. Okay. Sure. You've just been throwing these shit out from just out of your ass and throwing a stamp on them. Get out of here, Meltzer.
Great show, man. Like
5-star Daddy Magic.
Yeah, 5-star Daddy Magic indeed. He was awesome in that match. Bleeding. Oh, good God. Goodness.
He bled. Yeah, so he also bled in the cage. In the cage too, in Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
Why do all these motherfuckers want to bleed, bro?
Bro, I can't wait. Like, bro, all right, think about it like this: do you want to take a bump or do you want to bleed?
Well, normally you gotta do both.
No, I'm saying like back in the day, I was reading somebody talk about this. It's like the reason like guys like Dusty and Abdullah the Butcher, they bladed so much because they didn't want to take like bumps and shit. Like, and it was like the quick way. It was like the sugar rush to get like a bunch of emotion in your matches and shit like that. Like if it's like beep or like, you know, I it's the visual. That's what they want.
No, I get that. I guess what I'm saying is like, if that's, can you have more to? No, I'm not saying that he doesn't, because he's done some he's done good stuff in both those matches, but it's like
Trevor Dame.
I just think it's kind of weird when you have certain people where it seems like that's all they want to do, and it's not many people. It's only a few. It's like, bro, this is what you got in here for. Is like not to put your idea on the storytelling. Is to just bleed. It's like, are you like a masochist? Like, what's going on?
Well, think about what these people grew up watching, and like all this during the Attitude Era, motherfuckers was bleeding all the time. Like they were seeing Austin 316 thrown in their face, the bleeding at WrestleMania 13. Like these are all these images that people have digested in like up to like the JBL Eddie Guerrero stuff, like Cena's like super bloodbaths. Like it's, I think they think it's like a rite of passage or something.
Probably. I just see it as like, that's something, me personally, right? Like if I were a pro wrestler, which is ridiculous, the thought, but like if I were a pro wrestler, I would save that for like my biggest matches. I wouldn't just be out here breaking that shit out like every other week, or not necessarily. The biggest thing I'm talking about Moxley. I'm not necessarily talking about Moxley, but it's like, I guess maybe, for someone like Daddy Magic, those are his biggest matches. So yeah, I guess that in that sense, like it does make sense for him to do it, and if he's ever going to do it, because like where is he going to have a match at, like it's going to call for that sort of thing, or need to be, or could be a call for that. So that makes sense. But it's just funny. It's like, damn, bro, 2 in a row. He's like the boxer that always breaks his nose in a fight. Like, damn, or his hands in a fight.
Yeah, that was AEW Revolution.
Yeah. Okay, so
I guess, James.
And now a special motorcycle weather report from Progressive. And today's forecast, expect a steady breeze with a 100% chance of twisting down those country back roads gleefully on your motorcycle. Some will want you, others will want to be you, and animals everywhere will yearn for opposable thumbs just to work that throttle like you do. Oh, nature's cruel design. That's your forecast, back to you. This has been a special motorcycle weather report from Progressive, where every day's a beautiful day to ride with 24/7 roadside assistance from America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Roadside assistance subject to policy terms and limits and may require comprehensive coverage.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
As a Lowe's MVPs Pro Rewards member, get reliable GE appliances for your properties and save while doing it. Right now, take advantage of Bonus Points Rewards, where you can earn 1 bonus point on every $1 spent on the GE laundry pair. Perfect for any contractor or job, this laundry pair is affordable and built to last. Head to your local Lowe's or visit Lowe's.com to save big on GE appliances. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid 3/4/3/19, subject to change.
I got to hit the music.
Okay, so I did not have time to watch the undercard, but I will get to it eventually. But the main card started with a trios match. Don Del Mondo, Micah, Tekla, and Mai Sakurai versus Cosmic Angel / Club Venus. So it's like Waka, Mina, and Mariah May. So they started off with Mariah May and Tekla. Obviously, they're doing, Gaijin versus Gaijin. At the beginning of Triangle Derby, they had interaction with each other. And they're actually good together. Like, I wouldn't mind, I don't know what the lineup is for Cinderella exactly yet, but, like, I wouldn't mind if that was, like, a first-round matchup. Then you end up, in the closing stretch, you end up getting Mai in there with Waka. Waka. The crowd loves Waka. The crowd loves her. Like, she's one of the most over people. Now that they have cheering... She's one of the most over people with live crowds. They really, really badly want her to get the W.
That don't shock me. Oh, have we talked about the Waka and how this is now a tag match?
No, because it wasn't announced until last weekend.
Okay. How do you feel about this? Because I would have preferred to see Waka win by herself. If she was going to win.
I think that they did that to make the match better, and ultimately at the end, Waka is going to pin whoever Nanai's surprise partner is.
This is Nanaiism.
Nanai wasn't... It makes no sense for Nanai to lose to Waka anyway. She's a tag champion. Am I wrong here?
I thought the whole thing was set up with Waka and Nanai. And now it ain't. So
I'll put it to you like this, right?
That seems weaker.
The idea... Oh, here's my question, right? If you do Nanai versus Waka, and Waka beats Nanai and pins her, right? Is anybody going to take any satisfaction or going to feel like it's Hogan versus Pillman?
I think people will just go... If she's as over as like, she. But
I don't know if the over. But it's a different type of over. I think it's a crowd over. I don't know if it's like all of a sudden like, yeah, she needs to be the white belt champion. I don't think it's that kind of thing.
Like, but it's like, all right, could you beat like this legend or something? It's like a one-off. I think it's a bigger win than anybody would imagine that it would be, and it's just like it's like such an outsized victory. It's kind of like it's her career highlight essentially. Like she'll never get something that good again. And if it's a case where she's going to win this, I think they're blowing, like they're getting a
maybe
lesser...
maybe they lose. Who knows?
They might lose. Yeah.
Because like there's also because what's been going on with the Cosmic Angels like Club Venus thing is that like Mina Mina don't fuck with Unagi. Unagi is coming and going out of the promotion and shows up maybe every month, every other month. For special occasions, when they need another person and she has a free date, she'll show back up to Stardom.
Mm-hmm.
But like pretty much everybody else that everybody else in Cosmic Angel, she kind of still has a decent relationship with. Like she even she, for example, in the semifinal of this show, which was Cosmic Angels was Tam, Poi, and all cap Saki. Mina's out there. She's cornering them. Like, there was, the weird thing of her having her own faction, or not weird, but like her having her own faction and calling it Club Venus, you thought it was going to be like a separation, but it doesn't seem like the separation is there, or yet. Like, the only separation I can see is Waka loses the match, Tam told her she had a month to get her shit together because there's nothing else I can teach you. I've taught you everything I can teach you. Then maybe you need to go somewhere else, somewhere to teach you. And then like Club Venus shoots off on his own with Waka. That's the only thing I can think of.
Waka and Club Venus? I don't like that.
Well, what do you think? What do you think Club Venus is going for? That's really. I think that's you're thinking it's like an aesthetic thing, right?
Yeah. Like,
well, I mean, look, I don't know what you think. Look, I'm not going to get into what you think about the wrestlers or whatever else, but like, I think of Zaya Brookside and them big ass eyes, and I think of like a damn Disney character. So I don't really necessarily think of the same things you do when it comes to maybe when you think of like Mariah and Mina. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like they going for a specific thing with Club Venus, and I don't know if Waka aligns with the vision there, but I'm sure Waka got.
But Rich, you could have said the same thing when you saw the original 3 of Cosmic Angels, right? And then you get Waka added to it, and you're like, or as the 5th, and you're like, wait, what?
I think once
I don't know what sells over there. I don't know.
King of North says Club Venus is a Rossi fantasy. Oh my god. I don't know, man. Just to bump her over to Club Venus, it feels like a waste. Like like whatever happens, they need to win this match. Like, I know I think they've gone too far. Obviously, they can't just say it's a singles match again. But I think it would have been more effective as a single.
I think you're right only if they win.
Mm-hmm.
If they win, I think you're right. But if they lose, then it's like it didn't matter one way or the other.
Right.
But the thing is, I think she was going to lose anyway. So yeah. Moving on. The continue on that match. Going on close stretch with Mai Sakurai and Waka, and she's much improved. Like she clearly has like stepped up her game over since the beginning of this year. And at the end, Mai has her beat and goes up to the top rope, and you know what her new finish is though? Is a Harlem Hangover, right?
That's funny.
She's been doing it, right? Man, she did this Harlem Hangover, and I see her jump, and she's immediately like off axis, and I was like, where is she going to land? Is she even going to like hit Waka? Oh yeah, she hit her. She came down and she dropped her. That number hamstring hit right on Waka's forehead. Boy, I was like, oh my god. Look, but I haven't heard anything about Waka missing any time. Apparently, there was no concussion. But if this were AEW or WWE, I think people would have been like, "Hey, someone needs to go out. Someone needs to go talk to Waka backstage." But yeah, she got fucking walloped, and that was the pinfall. So next match after that, you end up getting a singles match. You end up getting Stars versus Oedo Tai, Mayu, Kaguma, Saida, Hanan, and Momo Kogo versus Momo Watanabe, Nasukatora, Sakashima, Death, and Ruaka. This was a fun match. At the end, you end up with Death in there with, I believe it was Momo Kogo, and Death ends up getting, rolling up with the O'Connor roll and getting the dub. It's a good fun match while it lasted. I do like Mayu's had new gear of late. I like her. I'm glad she got rid of that fucking overall stuff. I just never liked it. I always fucking hated it. It's like it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. I didn't get it either. Whatever. But yeah. So Death got the W, and Rich can rejoice.
Death.
So next match after that, you end up getting the first semifinal of the Triangle Derby. So you get the Cosmic Colors team of Tam, Natsupoi, and all caps Saki versus God's Eye, Shuri, Mariah, and Ami. So they had this match earlier in the tournament, and Cosmic Angels won with Tam dropping Ami with a violet screwdriver. So they start to match off with that matchup. And then you end up with like Cosmic Angels getting the advantage quickly. They start using the triple team work on, after they clear off the apron on Ami. So Ami has to work underneath. Then they get in Mariah and Mariah and Natsupoi. Really good stuff. then you end up at a closing stretch with Natsupoi and Shuri. And Natsupoi pulls out like a tilt-a-whirl into her armbar that like Shuri sold as if like she couldn't make the ropes, like she was fucked unless the rest of them saved her. They made the save. And I believe Shuri ends up getting a W off of Natsupoi later in that exchange. But yeah, so probably like 3.25, maybe 3.5. I don't know, but it was a good match.
Take your L, Natsupoi.
It's funny because like Saki can't, because I guess because you know she's a freelance, she can't take the L, and like Tam, Natsupoi joined Cosmic Angels, and like anytime it's time for like Tam or Tam to lose, Natsupoi takes that L. Natsupoi came out there and devoted her life to that woman just to eat her L. That's just hilarious.
You signed up for this life.
Hey, to be fair, she was doing the same thing for everybody in Domino Mondo too. So, so then,
I'll say this match, though, it's a little different though, because like, you know, you're supposed to be a number 2 now. So like, if you just constantly throwing your body in front of the thing, the role, the expectations is much different when you're number 4 or 5. That's what you're supposed to get down with. But 2, they still treating you like you a little homie.
You got a point there, but it's also because of the weird thing that's going on with Mina right now, or not weird thing, but like the whole part of like Unagi's at the promotion, or kind of half or one foot's out the door, and Mina's like might be a faction leader but isn't, but also is like holding the coats for them. It's like it's weird like transition to get to wherever like whatever like the new established quo. Whatever the new established status quo will be, and that'll be fine. But like getting there in this transition is kind of like, all right, like when are the dominoes going to drop on this so we can kind of get some clarity on this? Like what's happening? Like, are we just basically doing Club Venus until Mariah's like tour ends, or what are we doing? Because like, you know, Zaya Brooks is like already gone.
You know, we can team up Yoshihashi and Natsupoi at the new Historic X over, or we can have her, you know, with Bushi, you know, and they can talk about their lot in life together. You know.
All right, so so what was it? Where were we at? Oh yeah, so second time I found a match, you end up having Neo Stardom Army, Nanai, you, and Yuna Mizumori, who like they put her in there just because like, oh, we like her and she's on these Stardom Showcase matches, but the New Blood matches. We'll throw her into a faction. Let's throw her into Nanai's faction of Invaders, and they're going against Prominence. So Risa Sera, Kurumi, and Suzu Suzuki, and like this match was so fucking good. And like there's a stretch with like Nanai and Suzu, and just it's like Nanai just no-selling her shit, and like Suzu is like wailing on her, and she's no-selling, and then like eventually it's you have to watch it. You just have to watch it. It's like yeah, you're like the hot brawler on the scene right now, whatever else, with the street fighting and all the the street fighting shit, whatever else. Is like, yeah, you could have whooped me in a shoot. Like it was kind of like that. It was just awesome. But yeah, at the end, I can't remember who. I don't remember how they won. I don't remember how they won, but Prominence and getting a W. I think I think what ended up happening is like you went for power stuff and ended up like clearing out Nanai and you, and they couldn't make a save from Mizumori, and the Mizumori ended up getting. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what happened. It ended up coming down the final stretch of Mizumori and Suzu, and everybody from Prominence was able to hold off Nanai and you, and Suzu could finish her off with a, I believe it was a German suplex. So then you get to the singles portion of the show. You end up getting with Himeka versus Chihiro Hashimoto. Rich, did you see this, or did you?
I didn't catch this one.
Okay, so this wasn't as technical as Hashimoto's match with Mirai from the anniversary show, but it was very similar fashion of like, you're good at this, but I'm going to show you that like I'm still better, even if you are like someone that is pretty advanced at this. So like Himeka, she tries to use power. Chihiro's like, let's do the shoulder tackle thing. We can do that. That's fine. And then from there, like, it's just like, it's Suplex City in that bitch. It's a Suplex City. And Himeka mounts a comeback, but she gets overwhelmed and she's going up again, put down with, I think, one suplex. And then eventually Chihiro gets a hold of the ankle and gets the ankle lock. And then Himeka taps out. Really fun match. I might give this 4. I really like this match, to be honest with you. I would need you to check it out and tell me what you think about it, but I really liked it. So then you end up getting the white belt match, Saya Kamitani versus Suzuki. So the setup of this, do you watch the pre-match video package or no?
I just watched Saya Kamitani's entrance because I love her theme song. Okay,
so video package details, how Hazuki got the match. Like, she pinned Hazuki pinned Kamitani during Triangle Derby. So they've had some exchanges of recent that I haven't gotten a chance to see yet, but like people like Keem have been they've been great. So Hazuki ended up beating her with a flash Hurricanrana pin. So this match reminds me so much of like the 2019 like title matches, where it's like the champion is on the ropes and then they survive the initial onslaught and then it's neck and neck and then the champion pulls away at the end and then you're just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? This challenger,
bro,
had the beat. It reminded me of like the Mayu of like when Shuri was beating Mayu's ass in 2020. It reminded me of Hazuki beating Haruso Oshigi's ass in 2019 too.
I was just gonna say that. Like, when I was watching this, I was like, bro, I feel like I've seen like this before. Like, I feel like Hazuki, like when she was fighting Haruso Hoshiki, like, and then Haruso just got her out of there at the end.
Yeah, like, so obviously it's not the same match. I think this match is probably better. I have to go back and watch. Like, I think that Kamitani on her top end is better than Hoshiki as far as most things in the ring. So like, yeah,
this match was excellent, man. Like, it was like
Hazuki just had to answer for everything that she was doing was cut off her water. Like, so, getting pins on her, getting her arm in a position where she kicks out, she immediately puts her into a crossface. She has to struggle to the ropes after all that, laying on her and all that kind of stuff. And Kamitani gets to the ropes. She's huffing and puffing and dying. And then Hazuki, she gets to her, she gets to the brainbuster finish. I don't think anyone's ever kicked out of the brainbuster. Like, opening night of the Grand Prix, she pinned Julia with it. Like, obviously, she was a Michinoku, it was like shoot headbutt Michinoku driver, then the brainbuster, but still it was like the brainbuster is putting people away in the opening half of the Grand Prix. And like, when she has her up forever, she has her up just like Goldberg getting ready to hit the jackhammer. She had her up there for like 5-10 seconds. And like the crowd just like in awe. And then when she landed that, you can see Hazuki, if you go back and rewatch, you can see her as she lands it. You can see her slightly fist pump and then roll like yes, I got her. And then like pin and go for the pin. And when Kamitani kicked out at 2.99, Hazuki got, because how violently Kamitani got her shoulders off. That sent like Hazuki off of her, and like Hazuki was like, she like basically like jump like from getting thrown off of Kamitani. She like jumps onto the ref. Was like, "Are you serious? It wasn't a fucking 3." Almost like that kind of feeling. It's like the sense of desperation that she had, and like, I just hit her with my best shot, and I didn't fucking drop her, and like, so I think at different point she goes to the top rope for the senton, lands it, didn't get a 3 count. So then, she still has momentum of the match, but then like Kamitani, she hits a flash Hurricanrana for a near count, survives it, and then like Kamitani keeps coming up, start catching up, and then like and then you think like, okay, the tides are turning, and Hazuki hits her own
flash
Hurricanrana for a flash pin, and then they both trade like Michinoku Driver versus Star Crusher, and then Kamitani finally hits the like the Kamigoye big boot thing that she does, and then she ended up hitting the Star Crusher into the corner, and then she hits the 450 splash, and no one's ever kicked out of it. And then Hazuki kicks out of it, and you're like, okay, this is going to keep going. Nope, gets her up. Star Crusher, gets her up again. Star Crusher, 1, 2, 3. And I was like, this match is awesome. I think this is the best Hazuki match I've ever seen, singles-wise. And I think that this is the best Kamatani match that doesn't involve Tam Nakano. I was very impressed with this match.
This was great.
Easy 4.5. Easy 4.5.
This was like, yo, I know like Sai Kamatani's had a couple shaky performances, but she shook all that shit off and is like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm priming up, and I'm gonna keep running up the score with this white belt. Somebody come challenge me.
Like, I don't know if the point was to give her those weak challengers and, less experienced wrestlers as challengers to get you to the point of like, oh my God, Hazuki's a threat because she's a number 2 in a faction and she's one of the best wrestlers in the roster. But like, it was totally different from like them defenses that we had like post Mina.
Yeah. And it
like
was
so basically like from late October until just now, like she just kept getting these weak opponents. Like she had Ami, who was a future champion at the time. She had Haruka Masaki, who's not in the fucking company, right? She had Momo, and then Momo wanted to do like the I'm Evil match as opposed to do the I'm Momo Watanabe match, which is like, disheartening. It was weird. It was really weird.
I was watching.
I'm glad that like she was able to get this match, because a lot of people were like, "Hey, they begging her to get off these matches, these bad like defenses." Like, well, it's not the defense as much as it's the challengers.
Yeah, I was watching this, and then I was like, "Man, are they really gonna put Hazuki over her?" And then I was like, Hazuki should have went back to the bodega. Like, Sai Kamatani is clearly on a trajectory, and Hazuki's like high-end help right here. And I don't know where she goes particularly from here, but this kind of match is like a match where I see the person that loses, like, I'm like, oh, they could probably retire soon, because it's like, well, we start hearing that stuff about like, well, I wasn't going to go any higher in the company, but I think, enjoy these matches, because like, you never know when you're going to get another one. Like, and I feel like these people are in two different trajectories. Like, Hazuki's been primarily like, a tag wrestler with Kaguma, and to come back and to throw out in these matches, they give her I think they gave her a title challenge against Shuri, if I'm not mistaken.
Utami last year. Utami at the end of 2021.
Okay. And then, stuff like this, like they'll pull her out in these situations, but I don't expect her to actually win. I thought she was kind of a dangerous challenger going in, but from this point on, I don't see it, especially with Julia looking like she's locked in. Also, yep.
I don't think she's a red belt champion. I think she's a white belt champion, or white belt challenger. I think she's in that division. Like, I know she beat Julia, but like once they give, like, the thing is, you kind of be like, all right, well, she beat the person that eventually won, the tournament and then won the title. That should be a whatever. But like once you give her the other belt to challenge for, is like, oh, well, they're just not going to do that. So they went Kamatani, and I think It's weird because like Hazuki's younger than Kamatani. Like Kamatani's like 20. He turned 27 this year. Hazuki's 25. I think she's in that division where it's like any of Natsupoi or Hazuki or Mirai or Kid or Mina can win the belt. Like there'll be like the next, they're in that division. There'll be the people challenging for that belt over the next 2-3 years, whatever else. But like, and those will be like the big competition for it. But like, those will be the 2 or 3 of them out of those 5 will be the successors to Kamatani eventually. I just think that, given what was going on with the schedule, like it could be, a situation. Also, I should throw Mike into that too as well. I think, given that like Cinderella is 2 weeks before the Yokohama show, and then they'll do a pay-per-view during Golden Week in Fukuoka, which is where, they had that show last year with like home area FWC, home area Micah are challenging for the titles. And then, FWC won, Micah lost. Like, I could easily see like after this match, they announced that they finally they're going to go with Mina for Mina versus Kamatani. Like, I could easily see like, all right, Cinderella was 2 weeks before the Yokohama show. We don't want to do Yokohama. We want to have the card out. So let's do the Mina thing. If Mina doesn't get her teeth knocked out, she probably never wins the white belt. I don't know if that changes their plans, but like we'll do their match there because a lot of people are really into it. We'll break their hearts or whatever else. Have Kamatani roll over Mina again, and then like we'll have Hazuki or Micah win Cinderella and then win it in Fukuoka. I can easily see that happening. But I think either way, like Kamatani has like 1 or 2 defenses left. But I will say this. Someone mentioned this as far as like on I want to say Discord and Voice of Wrestling about Stardom. It was like they gotta break up like these long title reigns. Like somebody needs a short reign. I was like, I don't know if this is like a thing where people are like just from experiencing Stardom the last few years, but like Stardom's always had longer reigns. The only time there's been shorter reigns when like something weird's happened with like someone got injured and had to vacate or whatever else. For the most part, like you're holding the belt for like 5 to 7 months every single time.
I feel like the booking since I've watched it, and I can't speak for anything before 2019, is like there's like this long-term set of champions, and then like all the challengers kind of get flipped around until like one of them gets picked to hold the belt, and you add that person back in the pool. They go to the end of the line, and then by the time the next person wins the belt, they're back in the front of the line, and they just kind of rotate as like a long thing like that plays out over a year.
Yeah, more or less. And sometimes people get 2 defenses or 2 challenges.
Yeah.
I just just thinking about it with the Hazuki thing is like, you look at it like 2019 was like, okay, can Konami break through? Can Tam break through? Can Jungle break through? Can Hazuki break through? And it's like the only one that broke through was Tam.
Mm-hmm.
And now like once Tam won, they had to like completely rebuild that division, and like through like the Tam reign and the Kamatani reign, like now you're looking at like this new set of like Micah, Himeka at the time when Himekas were going to retire, Mirai, Kid, Natsupoi, Mina, and it's like it's been rebuilt after people like banged their head on the wall or whatever else, and they couldn't break through except for Tam, and then like it's all been and it's like it's back to that point again. It's like now you got Himeka partially retiring. It's like we gotta be careful with this, like this 2-year-long reigns back to back or at the top. Like you might want to flip this shit up, otherwise you can lose people. Obviously they keep bringing in more talent or whatever else. Like there's apparently besides the 3 rookies they brought up or just called in and passed a protest recently, like I think there's 4 more that are in the they're like ready to go. So there might be like 7 rookies this year.
King of the North booking matches that ain't gonna have no finish in the chat. Aside Kamatani versus AEW Women's and High Speed Champ Riho on AEW Rampage. Ain't neither one of them losing.
Oh, I can tell you right now who's losing that one.
Riho ain't doing no job.
Right, Riho ain't losing. Nah, Riho ain't doing jobs in Stardom. It's funny because like Riho still has more matches in Stardom than AEW, but still.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
I've looked it up. Yeah, like I think she's had like a couple more since then. So like now I think she's probably had like 5 or 7 more matches in Stardom. But it's like as it keeps going, like it'll cut down. But it's like you think of it as like she's only around for like 18 months in Stardom. But yeah, so great match, great defense. Like I thought Hazuki, like I thought this was her best performance in the match I've ever seen from her. As far as like the desperation, it also helped that like her nose got busted and she's bleeding out her nose and wrestling throughout most of the match. That also helped. If you don't get blood, get it the real way.
That blood,
get it the real way. Third from the top, high speed match, Starlight Kid versus Izumi, and
yes, sir.
They did it again, man.
Yes, sir.
They did it again, man.
1 week ago, we came on this show and said Starlight Kid versus Izumi is one of the most exciting stories of the future. Well, the future is now.
So, the approach they took to this... Sorry. So, the approach they took to this match was very different from the first one, where it was like, let's go out there and have the fastest paced match we can possibly have until our lungs are about to explode out of our backs. And then we'll, go to big moves after that and get out of there. This match was, even though you have the storyline beat of Azumi targeting repeatedly Starlight Kid's arm and eventually working it over and then eventually getting the double arm hold, the numero uno and getting it Kid to tap. You have this interplay of like over the years since then, Starlight Kid has like became more of a tactician as far as working over the leg and then getting her version of a stretch muffler. So I think she calls it the Dark Tiger Leg Destroyer. That's too. It's a modified stretch muffler. I'm not going through all that. So, so you have that. So you have their match of them. They're open exchange, and they both start targeting each other's. Targeting Kid's targeting Azumi's knee. Azumi is targeting Kid's arm again, and like. Then from there, you start getting like reversals of spots from the match they had last year. Where like at the end, you end up getting to setting up for that Spanish Fly, and Azumi like instead of going doing the getting flipped with Kid, she just basically like pushes her and shoves her, and like Kid basically has to moonsault her own, and then she basically grabs her and then flips her into an Azumi Sushi for a pin attempt. This match is excellent. And, if you watch, I haven't watched both of them back to back or whatever, but like there's so many things I remember from the first match that they use in the second match and use as like counters and reversals. I thought it was awesome. And like this was their last match, that they plan to have in the high speed division. At the end of the match, after Azumi ends up getting the win, making Kid tap out again, they sit in the middle and the belt is like in between them, and they basically pinky swear each other like we're going to get to the next level with this, like we're going to get this thing to the main event. And I'm hoping like hell they do, because like there's so much more they could do with each other, and like I don't think there's many wrestlers that have better chemistry with each other in the world. They're just incredible together, and like the fluidity and the thought, like bro, like it feels flat like I'm watching like Eddie and Ray. Like it just flat at this point, like it's ridiculous how awesome they are. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this was like you mentioned. This felt like a higher level compared to their match last year. Last year they went on last, and that was almost like a best of kind of all-star-ish exhibition, I'd say, last year. This one was like, okay, Starlight Kid's kind of got the elevation a little bit, but we need Azumi to we need to push Azumi as well, because obviously they're getting her ready for Mercedes too. So it's like, all right, you're going to come back down to high speed, even though, I think we kind of feel like Starlight Kid is like had graduated a little bit, but it's like, we're going to make you challenge, but you're going to lose. And kind of, I expect Azumi to drop the belt pretty soon now. And seeing them continue to just write small little chapters, I think is just going to be so fulfilling in the long run, because, as you mentioned, insane chemistry, and then just like the changes in them and their characters and their appearances. And by the time like this shit gets to the red belt, like it's going to be so fulfilling for everyone that has watched this. And it's going to be, yep. Like by the time they're done, and I'm almost getting sad thinking about the end of it. Just like that journey that we're already on with it, and it's like, this is great. Like this is like, these are like when they ask you why do you watch wrestling, it's for stuff like Starlight Kid and Azumi.
Yeah, I think this match was them like going out with a point that like, yeah, we can go out there and we can just wrestle forever and really fast and everything, and do the flips and twists and the calisthenics, if you will, or the choreography, if you will, whatever you want to call it, gymnastics, blah 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 blah. But like we can also tell stories, like, and if you are so dense that you can't see that, like the stories that they've been telling with each other, as far as like the way that like Azumi will just target her arm, and how kid sells it and like fights through at times during all this fast stuff, and you just can't get it that there's a story being told, then fine. Like, we won't have like our traditional high speed match. We will like basically give you a preview of what like our red belt and white belt matches could look like. This is what I imagine. If you told me like, what would a semi-main event, main event, white belt, red belt match look like between Starlight Kid and Azumi? This is it. And like, it's really just like half high speed, and the other half is like some version of like a Mayu Iwatani type of match, as far as somebody picking off a leg or whatever else. And Mayu Sell, like, I thought it was great. And for people that think that they're just out there just, you know, just doing shit, like, all right, watch this one. Because a lot of people, I think a lot of people were like impressed by like the physical gifts that those two have when they're watching, aren't necessarily like that. No Stardom is like, you just show them the match, be like, this is great, but not my cup of tea. If you were a person that's like, this is great, but not my cup of tea, like, this is the match that you show them instead. Like, this is the match that, like, if I would, like, for example, like someone like Sir Sam, this is the match that I would show Sam instead of the first one. Even though for me, like, if you ask me for rematch factor, I'm watching the first one.
Yeah. I think just like, this shit is bigger than the moves, and it's crazy. I'm a moves person, right? And if you can't, like, if you have to see somebody work an arm to feel like you're being told a story, I'm like, the story is them themselves. Like, that's them being on the opposite side of that person, and the rise to each level. This is Triple H and The Rock. Like, you've seen this shit before. That's what this is. That's the story. Like, the moves are the conduit to their climb to the ladder. Of racing each other to the top. It's John Cena and Batista. It's the same shit. Like,
right. And they even have their own people that they go to like to have like the upset factor with. Like, it's not happened yet, but like someday Starlight Kid's gonna upset Julia, right? We already have Azumi has upset Shuri before, right? Like twice. But like, clearly one likes working with, like, as far as top stars, like, clearly Julia likes working with Kid, Shuri clearly likes working with Azumi, and they have these big matches like once or twice a year where like it's like, you know, what do you call it? Old money versus new money. And it's always interesting to see those or whatever else. It's like there's clearly a plan in place for them to get, you know, up to the next level over the next few years. It's just like other stories have to play out, and like that'll be there when those other stories play out. It'll be awesome. So, main event, red belt match. Julia defends against Maya Yuki. And so you watch this match. I insist that you watch this match because I saw the match, and also like I'm watching this match after it followed the two previous matches that I both, you know, think are classics. And I'm watching the match, and I'm like, okay, so we're gonna get in the ring and wrestle. And they keep teasing like as if it's like we want to have a fight, but then like we want to tease and break these 20 counts to get back, and then eventually get back outside to keep fighting. And I'm just like, okay, this does not compel me that you're just because you're beating the shit out of each other and throwing and power driving each other. But like, it's very brutal, it's very physical, it's awesome as far as that. But it's like, no one's attempting to actually win this thing. What's going on here? So I'm thinking like, is this an angle? What's going on here? And the next thing you know, they reach a 20 count where Maya is put on the floor. Julia tries to get in the ring, and Maya grabs her. So it's a double count at a 20 count. And I was like, okay, so they were trying to do Okada and Kiyomiya, except like in a 17-minute singles match as opposed to a tag match. And I was like, but they just did this shit like 6 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Why would you try to recreate this that soon? But I thought they beat the hell out of each other. It was physical, but like after that finish, I'm like, I want to see the rematch. I want to see someone get beat, but like I don't know how you replicate that into a match where someone wins and loses.
I gotta say, I was compelled. I was watching this and I was all in. I was excited. I was loving them kicking the shit out of each other, brawling around the arena, and back in the ring, they were throwing tremendous strikes at each other and knees. I was watching this like, yo, I haven't seen like where did Maya Yuhiki come from? And you mentioned she's like the old Ice Ribbon Ace, and I'm like, man, is this what they be doing in Ice Ribbon? Can I get some more of that? Like,
not by and large. It's kind of, you know, obviously they had more top end talent than Tokiyoshi Pro, but like it was kind of like the same thing where it's like we're not really trying hard until we get to like the semi main event, and then we get to the main event, and that's kind of what it was. But like, you know. Because obviously you've seen Suzu, you've seen Risa. She can, when she's motivated, she's great. Yuki was my favorite. I had raved you for years that like she's my favorite ice ripper. And yeah, it just
I guess,
you know, they also had Tsukasa and Tsukushi, but yeah, it just.
I guess I'm looking at like Julia's still in like Julia side quest mode, like what with the belts, and she's like tying up these personal issues. Like when I don't know, I just thought this was like. I thought this was phenomenal. I had to ding them for the finish because like I was like, yo, this match is incredible with like one of the worst finishes I've ever seen. But like, I get what they were doing,
you, right? Because I didn't. But I guess I'm asking you because like were you unspoiled on the finish?
Unspoiled on the finish.
When you watched it, you feel like you're watching the match. Or you're just watching the fight.
I thought they were going. I don't feel like it was done, like playing out. Like it was like, yeah, they did all these Irish whips on the chairs, which looked crazy. They did the two big table spots to each other. It was almost like each person had to do the crazy shit. Then they were getting in the ring, slapping each other and shit. And
I guess maybe my disconnect is like. I see Julia ice whipping Maya. Maya's taking like these huge fucking big rolling bumps into like the third and second row with these chairs. And then Maya does hers and Julia like, oh, she stops at the first row. I'm like, okay, asshole. Like, what the fuck?
But bro, then, it was like they was so rough with each other. Like it was like, yo, this is the rough house. That's what this was. And then they started doing the slap stuff, and it was like they're trying to no-sell each other and like slap me more. I'm like, I don't. That didn't work for me. And then at a certain point, I just realized like they're not actually trying to beat each other. No one's trying to hit someone with a big move to get them in the ring or to hit someone with a big move or get someone into a submission or whatever else. Like they're just trying to beat each other up, and I'm like, this feels like an angle. And then sure enough, like 7 minutes go by, and then sure enough, it just was an angle to get to a rematch. And this was like the whole point of this was we want to sell you on a big blood feud in a promotion that doesn't allow for purposely getting blood. And I was like, okay, all right, like you're selling a grudge match, that's fine. Did it happen? But a lot of people love this. I'm the only person that doesn't like it, that's not in love with this thing. But I guess maybe it's like because I've never really seen Maya like really do this. Mm-hmm.
Like she's more like she's a lot like Mayu in a way, where it's like I come in, I wrestle, I throw a bunch of strikes, I sell and bump, and I tell a traditional story, and then like this thing is like totally different from what I was expecting. Maybe it's because my expectations is what it was. Maybe it was I was expecting to get like the match you're going to give us in a couple months. I thought I was going to get here and then we move on, but I don't know. But yeah, like it was definitely worth a watch. I wouldn't say it's bad or anything like that, but I didn't know what to give it a rating. I was like, it doesn't feel like a match.
I got to ding them for the end, so I'm gonna go 4.25. But like, if they give us a finishing sequence at the end of that, and we talking going higher than that.
Yeah, probably. So then the main event, you end up getting the two finalists for the Triangle Derby final. You end up getting Prominence, and you end up getting God's Eye. And at the end, Suzu ends up putting away Mirai. It went the closing stretch of Mirai and Suzu was really good. But at the end, Mirai ends up getting put down with the German suplex, and the trios champions won the 9-week 2-block round robin tournament for trios teams. And I was like, what was the point?
To show y'all prominence, trying to show y'all, trying to make prominence more prominent,
Rich, be real. Did that make any fucking sense?
Prominence prominent, and computers is Putin,
Okay. All right.
Exactly.
So,
a certain dominance with prominence. King of the North says exactly. That's what this was.
Yeah. It's not as if they have a Yokohama Arena show with to see 17,000 people that they need to build towards. No. We need to use the first 9 weeks just to have a whole bunch of trios matches where the fucking eventual champions. Oh, also mention, like after the semifinals, Prominence said they were going to put their belts on the line. So like it was a trios title match, but it was like, okay, so we don't even get like the fallout of if there were a winner, then there's a match, that built off the strength of them beating all these other teams to get to it. It was just been like, God's Eye just won them. They're just new champs. I just like, can you imagine how much that would like stink if like the G1 winner just won the belt and there's no like you go to Wrestle Kingdom? That's what that felt like watching that.
Yeah.
So 9 weeks.
Hopefully
people are rested up that needed 9 weeks of because a lot of people were saying like their best explanation for why they did this was like a lot of people beat up or whatever else, not giving 9 weeks, whatever else. Cool, fine.
They got to create a new franchise kind of off of this too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how in the future, like if people are going to be excited to say, "Hey, Triangle Derby's coming," but it's something there,
Right. I mean, yeah, sure. Just don't make it 9 weeks of the year. Like I just felt like they lost the momentum doing it because it wasn't like they were out here having like tag league quality matches where you have 4-star matches on like almost every card.
Right.
It wasn't like they were, or it wasn't the damn sure one like the Grand Prix were like they're going to throw like 2 to 3 4-star matches at you. So it was just they tried stuff. It was successful as far as the drawing. They did well. Like I mean the show ended up drawing like 1,900 people. Right. So it's a success or whatever else. And this was a great card. I mean, up and down. But I just, as far as like the whole idea of like, let's spend the first 9 weeks of the year after we just crown Julia and like put her in all these tag matches, not like build up opponents and, that sort of thing. Like I felt like I kind of missed Stardom doing like the Road to shows and building contenders that way. But now we actually have it now. So like they're full steam ahead until they get to Yokohama Arena on the 23rd of April. But before that, they have a pay-per-view on a few weeks from now. But it's like a B tier thing. Like they're gonna have like future title belt match. They're gonna have like I think high speed match Izumi versus Sai Kashima. The future belt match is Lady C versus Ami, or Lady C is a challenger. I think there's also a tag match. It's the Nai and Yu versus Natsuko and Roaka. So I will say this: they had the final night of Tag League. They had a match and it was actually really good. So like I expect them to have another really good match, but these are just like just put title matches on. This next thing that's on like a C tier thing and we'll do it. But they're definitely like saving their best stuff they have for Yokohama Arena. So after this match, after the red belt match, Tam came down to the ring and she said she wanted to be the challenger for Julia for the red belt at Yokohama Arena. So that's on, and like that card's shaping up to be incredible. Like, so far, that's announced is Tam versus Julia singles match for the red belt. white belt match, Kamatani versus Mina. Himeka versus Maika for Himeka's retirement match. And Shuri versus Chihiro Hashimoto for the just for a special singles match. And then like also what's left to be announced is people think that, you know, they're going to do Mayu versus Mercedes for that WGP Women's belt. Like, that's a hell of a 5-card lineup right there. And then who knows what they do with the tag belts or the trios belts or whatever else.
Prominence.
We'll see. We'll see. They should be on the card. I don't know who their opponent would be because like I think the perfect opponents would be Azumi, Utami, and Kamatani. And that's been announced, but it's not for Yokohama Arena because Kamatani's in the white belt match.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got.
Cool, man. I guess we should probably wrap this thing up. However, I actually did hear 2 things on Raw. They made John Cena and Austin Theory official, and Cena apparently ripped him apart with a promo. And Jey Uso like turned on Sami Zayn just out of nowhere and super kicked him and shit. And yeah, the quote unquote greatest story ever has led to what you saw.
What did I say 2 weeks ago? Jay ain't gonna watch the tape. He's just a dumbass, and he's gonna turn on him for no reason. Because he's always been a dumbass in his whole entire thing. He's been getting worked over by his cousin. He's a fucking idiot the whole time.
These people are lying, man. Yeah. Like this, there's no way they're being truthful with this. This is cap. You know, this is cap.
Yeah, man. So you want to end it?
Let's wrap it up then.
All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. In the show notes of this show, if you're listening to the podcast, you'll see links to Rich's newest music video, Dream Machine, and also you'll go see the link to the pay hip for his album, Dream Machine Part 1. Check him out.
Go get it.
If you're listening,
also that the long song with myself, Montezzi, John Connor, Top Dollar, Swerve, B-Fab, I think that's it. It's like 9 minutes long. That hit streaming. You can look that up. It's called Price Gone Up or Price Went Up, one of the two. I'm on the second verse and got busy.
So if you're watching from the stream, you can hit us up and you look at it on the PayPal and the Cash App. If you're listening from the podcast, I'm mixing this all up. And also in the show notes, you'll see a link to our Roto Circle. You can donate there. And be sure to listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Get in the Ring, Great Match Generator, and Meet the Press Slam. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift the Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.